Hey, everybody, this is the Keeper of the Gains podcast. I'm your host, John Gallup, and my guest today is Dillon Youngman. What's up, Dillon?
Hey, how's it going, man?
It's going well. Thanks for coming by this Saturday.
Yeah, appreciate it. No, I'm happy to be here.
So, Dillon, where are you from?
I'm from here, from Wichita.
Okay.
Born and raised.
Cool, born and raised. And how'd you get into CrossFit?
So I transferred colleges after my freshman year. The RA that I had at the time was on the baseball team with me, and he was real into CrossFit. So we didn't have a lot of direction. Like, we didn't go to an affiliate until probably like 6 months into doing CrossFit. So basically we just kind of taught ourselves, just like watching like Rich Froning videos on YouTube the whole time.
Yes.
And then, just like kind of fell into it.
Yeah. What year do you think that was, probably?
So that'd be 2013.
2013?
Yeah, 2013.
Okay,
Like late
cool.
2013.
Just a little closer.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just move the mic a little closer, just in case. All right, cool. So it's been 5 years then, somewhere around there.
Oh man, don't say that. I found old. I feel old when you say 5 years.
No,
yeah,
man, I've been doing it. I've been doing it since 2008, baby.
Have you really?
Yeah, since 2008.
That's
It's been
awesome.
10 years of
It's like
CrossFit
OG.
now. Yeah, OG. That's why my bench press is pretty bad.
Dude, I maxed my bench this morning. It was terrible.
What was it?
Poverty.
I feel like your
It's
terrible is not my terrible.
290.
Yeah, that's not
It's
terrible.
Not good. But
Yeah, one of these days you'll have the 6 wheels on. Don't worry.
oh my god. Yeah. No, I don't think so.
It always frustrates me when we see people come in from like bodybuilding or powerlifting backgrounds, and they're just putting up 315 like no problem. It's just
Right.
like, you got to remember.
And then back squat 275.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't forget the legs, right, guys?
Right.
Yeah. But because I was, doing CrossFit since I was 16. Back then, they didn't really believe in bench press. It was kind of like ostracized. It was very much the dodgeball, us versus them,
Yeah.
thing,
No, it was
so-
a different. Yeah. I kind of miss those days a little bit because now everything's like so. I feel like structured.
Yes.
In the gyms that it's not like that, because it used to be like your intro was like, hey man, come do this workout, it's 21-15-9 thrusters and pull-ups, and it's like you just kill your friend.
Yeah.
It's like, cool, now we do CrossFit, and now it's like 6-month intro class, and and obviously it's safer and it's better for everybody, but
Yeah.
you kind of miss the old school mentality.
Yeah, where we just didn't really care what was up there, just slap it on there and destroy
yeah.
everybody.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Murph like twice a week.
Yeah. We'll do Murph Monday and Friday, so we get really good at it.
Yeah, no, you have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you'll recover, you're fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's very similar to a lot of people's first CrossFit experience anyway, is, kind of starting out in this grungy, phase of CrossFit, doing it at their, garage or something, and then eventually moving into a box. So, yeah, I get that. And, were you doing other sports in high school and, besides baseball and stuff? Or was
No,
that was like your main thing?
very focused on baseball through high school. Played year round and then played in college for 3 years before my senior year.
Okay.
And then stopped doing that to run the gym.
Was that on like a scholarship? Did you get into college play baseball? Like, were you?
Yeah, small scholarship. They're not a head count. Baseball's not head count like football.
Okay.
So you can be on a very small scholarship, which is what I was.
Okay.
I wasn't like a full ride guy at all. But,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but that was your thing then.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
That was my identity. That was like everything. It was like, I am a baseball player, and then everything else is just kind of like secondary.
Yeah. And so when that ended, is that what kind of let you, like when college was over and you were done with the baseball team, is that kind of what led you to be more invested into being a CrossFit athlete?
No, actually, it's kind of the opposite. Like, CrossFit is what led me into not doing baseball.
Really?
Because like I was doing this thing, and like I always liked honestly, I like the training side of things. Like, I like the practice side of things a lot more than I did like actually playing or like competing. And CrossFit offered this thing where it's like, man, I can train like twice a day and just like do this all the time. Because you're in school, you have you kind of have the bandwidth.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is way more fun than like playing baseball. And I wasn't playing a ton anyways.
Right.
I still loved it, but I'm like, man, I feel like this is a better source of my, where I should put my energy, so that honestly that CrossFit probably ended baseball instead of baseball, like starting CrossFit.
Man, that's how you know it's true love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a strange thing, but yeah, it worked out.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you ended up coming over to the CrossFit side of things, coming over to the dark side. It's way better here.
Yeah. That's what it was back then.
Yeah. It's interesting to me because, like, baseball to me is not necessarily a very physically demanding sport. It's much more so just a mind, set game, a lot of tactics and stuff going on, a lot of quick reactions and, teamwork, but really not that physically demanding. And like I think Rich Froning also was a baseball player, and it's just kind of like
Ben Smith too.
Yeah, was he really? He was wow.
Yeah, I don't know how high he played up, but like that was his thing, I think.
I wonder where there's that transfer. You know what I mean? Because like the physical transfer, there's a lot of out of shape baseball players. Let's be honest. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah. And you can be super one dimensional in baseball too. Like I was a catcher, so that kind of was the more demanding, because you're basically squatting back there the whole game.
Yeah.
But you almost want to be one dimensional in baseball. Like you want to be a big dude with a lot of power who maybe can't run for anything. Or be super fast and you don't necessarily have to throw well or hit well or anything like that. Whereas in CrossFit, if you're one dimensional like that, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
So the things that kind of held me back as a baseball player, I was very well rounded, but not great at one thing. Whereas like that mindset actually, I feel like helped. With CrossFit.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think you can be one dimensional on a CrossFit team, like a team?
Not anymore.
Team?
Not anymore. I think the way they used to program it with the 6-person teams, you could.
Yeah.
But now with the 4-person teams, like there's a lot less like work hard for 30 seconds, then rest for like 2 minutes. Like you're working the whole time. And I think, the teams that win at the games on the team side, like all 4 are really well rounded.
Yeah.
If you look at like Mayhem's team, because they won this year, like Rich would have qualified as an individual. Matt Hewitt would have, and I think both their girls would have as well, to go to regionals and then probably to the games. So I think you can't do that quite as much as you used to be able to.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. By taking those 2 other people out, you kind of have to be on the ball with everything.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, I remember watching Grid back when I was in California.
Oh, yeah.
And, man, I mean, you could have glaring weaknesses in Grid.
Oh, yeah.
As long as you were strong and, like, you were fast underneath that 1 minute mark,
right.
Good at gymnastics,
I
mean, you'd be fine.
Yeah. I remember like Klokov doing that, even though and his capacity was still so bad that he like couldn't lift the weights that were like super light for him.
Yeah.
Like I remember he failed like a 315 thruster or something like that, which is like insane for CrossFit, but his clean and jerk's like 500 pounds. Like there's no way he should miss that, but like he was gassed after doing 2 bars. Like, yeah. That was fun. I wonder if Grid's gonna make a comeback.
I don't know. I will say this about Grid, like being there, because I saw it like in person, like in the stands.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
we
cool.
had one of my, I use the term friend loosely because him and I were kind of like a friend of a friend. We hung out like once or twice, but Kenneth Leverich, Kenneth Leverich?
Oh, yeah.
So actually when I was in the Marines, the guy that was in my platoon, who was our corpsman, was like best friends with Kenneth Leverich.
Really?
And so he was kind of how we met each other. We'd hang out every once in a while. And he's like, yeah, I'm doing this grid competition. So we went up there and watched him. And what I really liked about it is the way that it was broken down into grids. It was easy to see who was in first. And I think CrossFit started to take that, and use that method to, have multiple barbells out on the floor. So you can see them progressing. You can see who's in first place. Because it's really tricky if you all are using the same bar every time, which round someone's on, who's in the lead. So I think Grid did a great job of showing, who's taking the lead, and that makes it more fun to watch.
Yeah, it makes it easier to watch too.
Yeah.
The team, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, I probably should start with this. For those that don't know, Dillon actually is the only current regionals athlete in Wichita.
R.I.P.
What's that?
R.I.P.
Yeah.
R.I.P. regionals.
That's right. Yeah. And we'll get into that a little bit, what his views are on, the regional changes and all that. And he went for the 2018 regionals he went?
17 and 18.
Okay. Oh, 2017 and 18 regionals? Awesome.
Yeah, 2 years.
Okay, cool. And also was a business owner for Middle of the Map CrossFit, and also bachelor's degree in exercise science from, what was the school name?
Rockhurst University.
Okay, out in
Casey.
Casey. Okay, cool. So I kind of want to start with where he's at with the athletic side of things, and we'll go into kind of more like the business side of things, the coaching side of things, because you were a coach for a long time as well.
Yeah.
So for the athlete side of things, I remember when we talked about this a little bit ago. You talked about back in 2015. I saw some of your numbers, and I was like, you were good back then, but like now you're great. What do you think made the difference from being a good athlete to a great athlete? Over the last, it was only a couple of years. It wasn't that long ago, if you think about it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so like gradual, that it's kind of like hard to like, because when you're in the moment, you're just like, I'm adding 5 pounds over the course of like 6 months to all my lifts, and it's like that's a very slow gain, like day to day.
Yeah.
But if you just continue like to progress like that over the course of a couple of years, it ends up being, some pretty big gains. But it's just a lot of patience and a lot of not reaching too far, like too soon. So a lot of people get super fired up and they're like, okay, I want to make, it used to be like, I want to make regionals this year, or I want to be top 100 in the open this year. And they would train like insanely hard for like 6 months and either burn themselves out physically or mentally.
Yeah.
So if they're training 4 hours a day, like that's a lot.
Yeah.
For somebody who's used to training maybe like an hour and a half a day, to going 4 hours a day, 6 days a week, like that'll burn you out or injure you. I think the key for that was like, I was training a lot, when I owned the gym and coached, but it was more of this like kind of slow, like manageable progress over those few years. And then I was lucky to not have to sustain any like big injuries, over those times. So it just kind of allowed me to make those gains and like keep them, and not like do one of those things where you like put in this like huge squat cycle over 8 weeks and add like 50 pounds.
Yeah.
And then like when you're done with it and you go do something else and your squat drops back 50 pounds. It was always just like a very slow, manageable gain like over those years.
I gotcha. As opposed to what you're saying, having that like neural adaptation for like a short amount of time and then just bouncing back. You're trying to keep it balanced across the board, raising everything at once, as opposed to just pushing one direction, stopping, trying to push into another direction. Stopping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like I never did any of those things where it's like where I did the open and it's like, okay, I had like a bad clean and jerk, so I'm going to do this huge clean and jerk cycle.
Right.
Or like, okay, I sucked at gymnastics, so I'm going to do this huge gymnastics cycle and like not do any weightlifting. It was always like I hate to say it, like all I was doing was just CrossFit, but I was, it was just like just maintaining that, I work hard on the strength, I work hard on the gymnastics and the Metcon, I do my conditioning and stuff like that, and just continuing to do all of it at the same time and allowing those numbers to just kind of grow all at the same time to where you're not like overreaching in one area. Yeah.
Let's go into that a little bit. When you say training hard, were you working at like 100% every day? And when I mean 100%, I mean like in a training environment, because everyone's 100% in a training environment is going to be different than when it comes down to the open or in regionals.
Yeah.
But like, were you feeling like every day you were leaving it all out there, or were you like some days you're hitting it at 85%? I don't mean like just actual percentages of like your weightlifting.
No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. How'd you balance that out?
So at first it was probably like all like just full sends like every day, because I was young, I was stupid, and I didn't have anything else to do, so I'm like, I might as well just like go super hard, and like didn't take many rest days, and up to a point like it's not particularly sustainable. In the past couple of years there's much more like structure to what I do. Like there's more, there's deloads and there's like days where you don't push it 100%. And that's kind of part of like maturing as an athlete, I think. But I would rather err on the side of like going way too hard than like not going hard enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the past like couple of years, I've definitely kind of like toned that back a little.
Yeah, I gotcha. I think it's hard to, especially for younger athletes, to know when those days to push hard are, because there are so many people, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I mean people that are trying to reach for that competitive status that don't push hard enough.
Right.
And you'll have all these people on the same program. There's how many people follow Comp Train, or how many people follow Misfits, or, whatever else is out there, or Invictus, and only a few,
going to
regionals, all in the same program. So you kind of look at it, and the first thing people think of is, well, they're just not hitting it hard enough. The 4 people that made it are hitting it harder, when that is true in a sense, but it could be what else, recovery. And
well, I think the biggest thing that people see is if they're not seeing results like on a Comp Train program, they're like, okay, I need to add more.
Right.
I need to do, this accessory cycle. I need to do functional bodybuilding and Comp Train. And now they're in the gym for 3 hours, but they never like reach that like 90% plus like intensity where they're actually like making adaptations. They're doing 3 Metcons at 80% instead of 1 Metcon at 100%. And that's why they're not seeing like the adaptations. They want to do more. They want to do more. They don't want to do like harder. Because I think I think in the off season, like Katrin and I think even Matt Fraser, when he was with Ben Bergeron, like they were just doing comp train, like in the off season.
Yeah.
So you can be the best in the world by just following like a single program and just crushing it those days. But yeah, you're right.